Clear. Awesome. So we are going to talk about guest experience, and I wanted to talk about guest experience on all levels. So how many of you, when I said I was going to do a guest experience masterclass today, felt like, okay, perfect. So when the guest comes in, like amenities and how we make them feel loved on, right? And we are going to talk about that, but not just that. We're going to talk about pre-salon experience, the warm welcome, building the trust, and plan for the future. And Ophelia says amenities are hard right now. They are hard right now. So do you know what I did? Some of you know what I did. I polled all of our Thriver Society communities and I asked what they are doing for amenities during the pandemic. And so I have a whole list I'm going to share with you guys because there are some really great amenities that, of course, our very innovative Thrivers have come up with. So I get to share those with you guys. But there are a lot of things that guests are perceiving to be amenities right now that were no big deal before. Why? Because the world we're living in has changed. I don't know about you guys, but even the idea of like going out and shopping without a mask kind of feels like an amenity right now because there's just so many things that are not normal right now, that things we took for granted before have now become luxuries. So we're just going to talk about all facets of that. The other thing is too, I want to remind everybody that I think that we're continuing to look forward to when the world goes back to normal, right? When are we going to be back to normal? So every projection I've seen says we won't be back to normal until early 2022 at the earliest. And we don't even know what that normal is going to mean. But when you look back at like what happened with the Spanish flu pandemic, and if history repeats itself, which listen, we don't know. And the argument is that technology has advanced and that we have all these different precautions in place that we didn't have before. And I get it. Trust me, I read all the things, I understand. However, there was 3 waves of the Spanish flu. And when you look at pandemics historically, it's not just a 12-week window and then life carries on. It's been extended out. So the reason I bring that up is because even if you're like, well, you know, my state is beyond the pandemic phase and masks are optional and we're kind of a state that's in a really different place, that's great for now. But you don't know what's going to happen this winter. You don't know what's going to happen next summer. So be eyes open and ears open, because I kept seeing you guys say in the Facebook groups, like what helped me returning to my business as a Thriver is that I had all of this knowledge going in, that I did stay eyes wide open. So I encourage you to just listen to pandemic experiences. Even if you're like, well, I'm kind of past that phase, you may go back to it. So just listen, eyes wide open, ears wide open. And then I also want to talk about pre-salon, warm welcome, and planning for the future, because those are essentials that are there no matter what, right? Okay, perfect. So how many of you, raise your hands or type into the comments, feel super confident about their pre-salon phase? Meaning everything a guest experiences from you between the time they find you, wherever, referral, social media, I don't even know, some part of your marketing funnel, they find you, what happens between when they find you to when they come into the salon? Are you like, yep, it's phenomenal? A couple of you, good. Mashana, I see you in the chat. Good to have you here, babe. A couple of you. Mashana says, I'm 95% confident. Beautiful. Most of you are like, I could use a little work. So I thought we would actually start with just kind of a review of what we're looking for in the pre-salon phase. And then if anybody has any like killer things that they've put into place, if you guys want to put those in the chat, that would be great too. So when we're looking at the pre-salon phase, there's a few things that we want to consider. So some sort of online booking option, whether it be traditional or digital. Is there anybody who doesn't either have a traditional online booking option or a digital appointment request option? Meaning somebody can, LJ doesn't yet, that's okay. So I want you to prioritize in the next 90 days, some kind of digital booking experience. So especially now, because things do take so much longer, this is definitely not an option. And a digital booking appointment request would be somebody can email you to get on your books. They shouldn't have to pick up a phone. That is a breaking point for a lot of people. 70% of consumers will not pick up a phone to make an appointment. So if you're like, but some of my clients complain, okay, so that's 30% of the population. So if we're going to focus on the 30%, that's your choice, but the 70% want some kind of digital opportunity. So either an email to book or a traditional online booking option. So that's part of the pre-salon experience. A new guest booking page, including what to expect, what to book, how to book, what happens next, photo of your salon space or a client having a good time, creative vibe here, link to your services page, pricing, email address to contact you for questions, and a link to your social media. So this is a checklist of everything that your new guest booking page should have. So do you have all of these things? Darcy says, can you zoom in on your slideshow? Yes, let me zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Janet said, I had 2 older ladies walk in Friday as I was cleaning. They tried to give me the business and I didn't have a phone number. Don't feel bad. Yeah, so you can't feel bad, right? You run a modern business, Janet. This is the way we go. Nick says, my boss took online booking off for now so we can book with full control. We open on Monday. So the digital appointment request option is how you book with full control. Have you guys seen the new Website Academy websites? Because when you look at those, you'll see there is an option for you to maintain full control, complete control, but have a very seamless digital appointment request system where the guest is basically emailing to book in, right? But they're saying, I can only come in Tuesday mornings. You'll have all of that information through their email. There is such a seamless way to do it, but closing online booking is not the way. That's like saying business is hard, so I want to make it harder. So we don't want to do that. So I understand why we wanted to stop the online booking process, because we wanted to maintain control and we didn't want to have this massive wait list. There has to be some kind of digital wait list in today's market. There's just no other way. So having the digital appointment request system is a really good way to do it. An online booking card to hand out to your guests. And this is key. If you don't yet have a printed online booking card or a digital card, that's a holdup. So for those of you who are like, my clients just don't want to do it. I've shown them how. Showing them how is nice. Giving them step-by-step instructions is crucial. Stella says, I do some older clients who just don't do technology at all. What do you suggest? So Stella, I can only speak from personal experience. And I use my mother-in-law, bless her, as my example, because she is of a generation where she feels like she doesn't care to learn new tricks, and it is what it is. And she met her match. So she was seeing a stylist who is a thriver and so knows my systems, and basically didn't give her the option. And once she gave her, this stylist actually has a digital online booking card, but it shows step-by-step how to do it. And my stubborn mother-in-law learned how to do it because she realized if I want to get what I want, I have to conform to the system. It's like kids. Clients are like kids. They're going to push the boundaries until you show them the way. And once they're shown the way, it's not that hard, right? I'm going to assume your online booking system is fairly easy. If it's not fairly easy, you need to choose another system or another method. But it's got to be like 3 clicks. It's not that big of a deal. So you just need to share with them how to make it happen. Melinda says, oh my gosh, you use Vagaro. Vagaro is like the easiest of all time. So you just have to put your foot down, Stella. Do you have a digital or a physical online booking card? Because that makes all the difference. Melinda said, new guest emails have been challenging for me. Where can I get more help with this? Melinda, if you go into I believe it is in the retention module, I want to say module 13, there are a ton of email marketing examples with verbiage that you can swipe and all of that kind of good stuff. Also, let's look into the module 5 workbook, because I think I might have some email for you here as well. So here's your booking card verbiage, right? Service timing worksheet. Here's your new guest welcome email. Who was asking for a new guest welcome email? Yeah, Melinda. Melinda, it's in module 5 workbook. You can just swipe this verbiage if you need some. It's right here ready and waiting for you. And there's a lot more information in here as well. So refer to module 5. That's going to help you. Okay. So the new guest welcome email, new guest digital welcome packet. So if you're an annual member, you got my digital welcome packet training as a free bonus. Even if you didn't get that as a bonus, you have my other trainings on how to create a physical welcome packet, right? So use those principles and apply them to a digital method. This is a game changer, you guys. The digital welcome packet, now is the time. Don't wait a year. If you wait a year, the secret will be out. Everybody's going to watch what we're doing, and this is going to pick up steam. And every stylist is going to be doing a digital welcome packet. This is your opportunity. It is here right now. Do not delay. So what we want to do is have a multi-page PDF. And by multi-page, it could be 2 or 3 pages that just showcases why you're such an amazing stylist, what it's going to look like sitting in your chair, where to park. how early to get to you, what the consultation is going to look like. Think about all of the things that would give a guest peace of mind. Think about when you go to a new business, all the things you panic about, right? And it's the silly things like where to park. Do you take credit cards? Can I tip you? How do I tip you, right? All of those questions, those are all really great things to have in the digital welcome packet. And you guys, this is guest experience. Seeing a new stylist is scary. It's terrifying. And so the more we can do to show them, like, look how organized I am. I'm going to walk you through this experience. You are that much more likely to retain them. So this is not just wow factor. It's, oh my gosh, I've never seen a stylist do this before. It's setting the foundation for a really smooth guest experience. Kathy says, what is the best program to create this with? Canva. And when we created our samples for the digital welcome packet training, we just use Canva document templates to start, and then just worked in some of our own design. But on the last coaching call, I believe it was, if you go to the last alumni coaching call, I walk through it a little bit, and it's just like square, circle, text overlay. Like, it's nothing even fancy, but it's enough that is wow factor, and it would blow a new guest away. Leilani says, so should the receptionist be the one to ask for emails when we take appointments? If you are still doing appointments by phone, yes. They should be asking for a phone number and an email address every single time. And if your receptionist, let's say, Leilani, you're in a team-based salon, so you can't send this digital welcome packet at the first visit, send it right after the first visit. If you can't send it before they walk through the door, send it immediately after they leave. Like before end of day, when they're walking out, they should get this. So ideally, they'd get it before they step foot in the door. If they can't, right as they leave, it hits their inbox, right? I don't know about all of you, but in a lot of our states, we can't have physical welcome packets right now. We can't even have business cards right now. No magazines, no paper products, right? No menus in the restaurant. So this is a nice alternative to that. And then a professional email address. We had somebody who applied to work for me who was drop it like it's hot 76 at hotmail.com. She did not get offered a position. So you have to have a professional email address if you're trying to make professional connections. If your clients are booking with you, things like that, make sure that you have a professional email address for people to connect with you with. I know it seems so simple, but not everybody has one quite yet. So if you do not have a super solid pre-salon phase, let's start thinking about how we can make that possible. Okay, what are the things that we can incorporate into our guest experience before somebody sets foot in the door that makes them say, wow, I've really chosen the right salon to work with? I know some of you do a digital consultation. Does anybody in this room do either a pre-visit phone consultation? Like I know in the pandemic, we're doing things like that, but before the pandemic, were you doing any pre-visit phone consultations or any pre-visit email consultations? Okay, does anybody, Abby or Nicole, want to come on just through voice and talk about what it is like to do something like that? I would just love to hear your experience. LJ says physical person. Abby, yes, I knew you would, girl. I knew I had you. Okay, let me pull you on here, and it's just going to be your voice. Hold on. Okay, I've permitted you to talk. So, hi, Abby, how are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't see my face. I actually put makeup on.
Oh my gosh. See, of course, your camera ready and I can't even do it. So tell us, what have you done in like a pre-visit consultation that is not in person? What does that look like?
Well, I can do virtual with Zoom or something like that, but that has been kind of a hiccup for a lot of my clientele. My demographic is actually, like my target market is a little bit older. So there's been hiccups with that, but phone calls are great. I always wind up connecting with a new client and making sure that I ask a lot of questions about their hair history, basically what I do in my consultation, but I always connect, and it really helps people to understand that I have their best interests at heart before they even walk in the door.
Mm-hmm. It sets the mind at ease probably for you and for the guest. Do you feel like, I understand what you're saying about Zoom because technology can get the best of either you as the host or the client who doesn't have the app or know how to use the technology. Do you feel like there's any disadvantage not seeing them, or are you able to have a really thorough verbal consultation?
If I'm able to get them in the door, I do ask for an in-person consultation. And if it's
Yeah.
just not possible, then we go with the phone consultation, and I just make sure that they send me pictures through email.
Mm,
And we might even do that while we're on the phone, just so that I make sure that it's done and they have the right email address. And we talk about inspiration photos. So I try to do everything as live as possible, and we exchange images and conversation about what they're sending me on the phone. And I might even have more than one chat with them. So
I love that. And would you do the consultation before they book, after they book, or situational?
I still have people that call the salon, so I'm able to call them back. I try to catch it as quickly as possible. There are times when somebody might get scheduled, but I haven't had a chance to really take a look at if they're getting the right service, and that's really my biggest hiccup, to ensure it. I portray it as if I'm making sure that their needs are met, which I do prioritize, but really for me in my day, I don't want to get backed up. I want to make sure that I have enough time. More often than not, with the new services that are popular within the last 5 years, people don't always understand that what they're asking for is a 3 or 4 hour service. They're used
Right,
to possibly an hour and a half.
right. A couple questions came through. How long do these consultations take, and do you charge for them?
um, 5 to 10 minutes on the phone. I not on a phone consultation. I don't charge, and I'm considering charging for the consultation for some of my new clients. I haven't done that yet because 15 minutes with my consultation, I already know if it's going to be a shoe-in or a good match when I have that consultation, even just on the phone.
Mm, I love that. And it probably saves you time then when you're in your chair too. So it almost ends up being a break even.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
I love that. Abby, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Kaylee, would you mind coming on? I have a question about the survey that you received. Are you in or are you out? I want to ask you about this digital survey that you received. Yes. Okay, perfect. So, hi, Kaylee. So, Kaylee, I don't know if you guys saw in the chat, she mentioned that she recently saw a stylist and they sent her a survey. Can you tell us what that process looked like?
Yeah, so I reached out to an NBR stylist for a service for myself, and then she just sent me it was just like a quick email survey. She asked a couple of different questions about kind of like what my hair goals were, what my struggles were, and then she sent like really thorough instructions on the kind of pictures that she wanted from me, which was um clear lighting. It couldn't be a selfie. She wanted somebody else to take it. And then she wanted the front, both sides, and the back. And then the next day, we had a consultation on the phone where then she already really had my price quote and everything ready to go, and then had appointment times to offer me.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so by the time you got on the phone with her, she basically had a full plan to present to you based on what you had submitted.
Yeah, and I was like pumped about it.
Mm.
Like I couldn't wait to give her my money.
I freaking love that. Do you remember what technology she used for the survey and the photo uploading?
Let
Was it
me.
some kind of like all-inclusive form where it was like the filling out and the uploading photos was in one place?
Yes, it
Mm.
was. I'm gonna try to find it. She was doing it through texting, where she sent me the link, but it was on Jotform.
I was going to ask if it was Jotform. Okay, if you guys haven't checked out, yep, Joe says she uses Jotform too. If you guys haven't checked out Jotform yet, it does a lot of those all-inclusive things. Google Forms can do some of that stuff, but it's clunky because if somebody doesn't have a Google Drive account, they can't upload photos. So Jotform was the key. Kaylee, thank you for experiencing or sharing your experience from the client perspective, because if I were you, I would have been like, take my money too, because she had
Yeah.
pre-sold you. She knew exactly what to talk about. Freaking genius.
Yes, awesome.
Thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so lots of ideas, you guys. And so just make sure that you are really up leveling your pre-salon phase, because from what we've heard from Abby and from Kaylee, people are leveling up. So now is the time to really take it to the next step. Everybody's saying, how do you spell it? J-O-T form. Nicole says, is it free? There are, like everything else these days, there's free versions and paid versions. So I don't know if the paid version is where you can add the photos, but to what Kaylee said and to what Abby's saying too, like if you're able to set a client's mind at ease and it's the tipping point, even if it costs $39 a month, but you're able to get more guests in the door, it's probably worth it. Abby says paid version and she's worth it. So something to think about for sure. Gregory says we use it for all of our forms. Yeah, jot form for the win. Okay, so let's shift to warm welcome for a minute. So this is where it gets tricky, and I want to share some of the suggestions you gave to us. So, the key elements that we used to talk about as being next level and guest experience have kind of been wiped off the table for a lot of us. So we need to start thinking about some of the amenities that we can offer that are non-traditional. And some of the things that came up, I'm going to read some others too as well, but some of the things that your fellow Thrivers are doing are cell phone sanitizer devices. Have you guys seen those? You can plug them in and have them on your station, and they use light to sanitize a phone. Kind of cool technology. Disposable face masks for free versus charging. Who thought face masks would be an amenity at the salon? But it is these days. Cloth masks for free. People are doing some really cute branded one. We've got some Thrivers who actually make them and are selling them, so that's kind of fun as well. Hand sanitizer pump stations, goodie bags, pre-packed snacks. The goodie bags are a hit. Michelle does the cell phone key sanitizer. And Michelle, what has the feedback been? Do your clients like those? Or are they like, yeah, it's whatever? Are they into it? Amazing. Yeah. So to what Michelle said, it's funny how that little cell phone sanitizer and key thing is like blowing people's minds. They're ordering them now. It just shows that you are a step ahead. Do you want to hear a silly one? You guys, I went to the UPS store the other day, and when I was checking out, they had 2 cups. One was clean sanitized pens, and it was labeled that way. And the other one was dirty pens. And they purposefully picked up the clean pen thing, handed it to me. I used the pen. They had me deposit into the dirty pen thing. It's like little things like that people are being blown away by. Like cleanliness is sexy right now, so double down on that. People are really feeling the cleanliness. Goodie bags too. A lot of us are doing goodie bags. So if you haven't headed that direction yet, it's something to think about. And the goodie bags can be done for like less than $5 a person. It's probably way cheaper than the amenities you were doing before. I've seen cute hair clips, hair ties, put a couple of sealed chocolates in there, a little note card. I've seen people do little succulent plants out the door. So think back to like Christmas gifts and holidays and all of that kind of stuff. And you'll find a lot of inspiration as to what those goodie bags can look like. Food and drinks in the back available to order. For some of you, you're able to do that, and for some of you, you're not. And so it's just going to be up to your state and your, level of comfort in offering snacks and bottled waters and things like that. That's to your discretion, and I don't think that anybody would judge if you didn't, but it's something to think about. Other warm welcome essentials, a new guest intake form. Is there anybody who still does not do a new guest intake form? I'm going to make an assumption that everybody in this room does one. Okay, some of you don't. If you don't yet do a new guest intake form, I'm going to give you 30 days. 30 days. Britt said by July 15th, I must have a new guest intake form, especially now, you guys. Having that updated contact information is crucial. And you can do it digitally. You can email it to them when they're sitting in your chair. Say, hey, I just emailed you a jot form. If you can fill that out and just update all of your contact information for me, that would be great. It can be so simple. It doesn't have to be paper. It can be digital. For those of you who are like, you know what, I'm just going to email it out, you're not going to get a great rate of return. It does have to be something that's done while they're in the salon. But just so you know, if you don't want to use a shared iPad right now, you can just do a digital form email to them. It works great. Cancellation policies should be on that intake form, and retail return policy should also be on that form. Michelle says, where's the download link for this workbook? It was emailed to you, Michelle, but also when the replay of this video goes up, it'll be in your portal too. So this is just a great checklist to make sure we have everything we need. Okay, so I want to read to you guys some of the pandemic amenities that Thrivers throughout are doing. So Shannon says, I'm sending handwritten letters with the message thinking of you to all of my guests. I'm also mailing out sample size shampoos and conditioners with a detailed list of how to extend the life of their hair and take care of it without their stylist. I also checked in frequently and personally with my guests one-on-one to see how they were doing and if they needed anything. You guys, I don't know if you talk to like friends who don't see you as their stylist, but basically all of my friends don't see me as their stylist, right? All of my friends just see me as this chick they like to hang out with. And so they've been complaining to me about their hairstylist for 3 months. For 3 months, I've had probably 25 women complaining to me about how horrible their stylists are. And I'm like, you guys tell me what is wrong so I can coach my people. And they're like, it's like my stylist fell off the planet. She has not reached out. If I reach out to her, it's almost like I'm being annoying. And they're like, I know they're going through a hard time. I want to support them. But if you're not coming in and making it feel like you value my business, I'm just going to find somebody who does. That is what my friends are saying. So you have to know if you're not reaching out and going above and beyond, you got to do it. Michelle says, I sent out thank you cards and mailers with goodies to my VIP clients. I checked in with all of my clients through phone and through email. Brooke says, I did virtual visits, some paid, some free during the shutdown, and sold a good amount of color kits. Early on, I filmed and edited 14 how-to videos to sell as memberships on my website, and that actually did fairly well for her. I included a free virtual visit expiring June 30th with the membership and sold more of these than I thought I would. So she sold paid trainings on her website, and it worked really well. Kay says, during quarantine, I did a video on how to cut your own bangs because we all know they're going to do it. And that was one of the things that my friends were requesting as well. I always use my friends as like the guinea pigs. I'm like, you guys are my test audience. Tell me what you want. A lot of them said they wished that you as their stylist would have filmed videos to show them how to cut their husband's hair. Even my sister, my own sister, asked me, she was like, is there any way you, Britt, and she knows I'm a hair cutting like moron, but she was like, Britt, is there any way you could film a video showing me how I should cut my boyfriend's hair? All of my husband's friends were like, how much can we pay your wife to give us a mediocre haircut in your backyard? Like the men were so desperate. And so even if you're like, I don't want to teach my root touch-ups how to do their own hair, even if you show them how to cut their husband's hair or their kids' hair, that to them was something that they really, really needed. Look in the chat, a lot of you did that. Janet says, don't you feel like that's training them to do your job? Janet, there's a time where I would have said yes, but what you have to realize is they're still going to do a terrible job. It doesn't matter. And they don't want to continue doing their men's haircuts. They don't want to continue cutting their kids' hair, but they just need to get through it. And, you know, some of these people were still going to work. Some of these people were essential workers, and they felt like Ophelia said, they just felt appreciative that you made the time. Even though, did you guys see Dave Hollis, Rachel Hollis's husband? She cut him a faux hawk because she didn't know what else to do. Like, I'm telling you guys, the struggle was so real. So the more you can do to just show that you care was a huge appreciation. So just something to think about. If this comes up and around again, it's something to think about, and it will not hurt your business. They don't want to keep doing at-home hair. They just need a lifeline. When the salon reopened, here's the amenities that we're seeing now. Offering clients the ability to process outside on our patio. A lot of clients didn't feel comfortable sitting in my salon space and felt at ease that I allowed them to sit outside while their color processed. I thought that was really interesting and something to think about. Then she said, my coworker has a little welcome back bag with a scrunchie, a complimentary service card, a mint, and a few other cute things. I'm going to implement that as well. Also, instead of blow dry, offering a braid or sending them home with a deep conditioner. Oh, you guys, this is another one too. If you are not allowed to blow dry in your salon, you must let your clients know before they show up. Because some stylists aren't letting their clients know and are just assuming the client knows. They have no idea and they're pissed. And I understand clients should not be mad, but they are. And they're mad because we didn't communicate. So please, please, please communicate if you're not allowed to blow dry. It's very important. Kimberly also says offering outside processing. So that's a hit. So we know that clients want to process outside, and that's an option that they're looking for. Bridget says we're giving each client a prepackaged cookie at checkout, kind of like at a hotel, right? Today was our first day back. It was beyond amazing, full of so much love from clients. Laisha says the welcome back gifts have been a hit. We are still offering iced coffees and single serve snacks. Vanessa says fresh flowers at my station, steam towels with essential oils, and more one-on-one attention. All of my color services have a 3 to 5 minute post color treatment. So the hot towel adds just a little bit of an extra element while they sit. Brooke Decker also says fresh flowers. That's a huge one. Branded, thank you. Welcome bags. Dyson HEPA filters. Oh, HEPA filters are also sexy right now, you guys. Talk dirty to me with the filters that you put to clean your air in the salon. People are into that. So anything you can do for cleanliness feels like an amenity. So make sure that you're thinking that way. Oh, this is a great one. This is an amenity, you guys. Michelle says, I sent a branded letter in the mail explaining our salon protocols so that they would have peace of mind walking into our salon. You guys, sneak preview. Next week on the podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you a story of a stylist who got destroyed by a client who came in, and it's not because of anything that the stylist did. What happened was the salon owner was choosing not to run her salon to protocol. And so in a back corner of the salon, the staff was having a celebratory we're back to work party with champagne, and the stylists were just standing around together, talking, having a nice time. The client sent an email to her stylist saying, I am disgusted that the owner of your salon would break protocol. She said, I saw what you did with me. I can see that you're running things to par, like you're doing it how we're supposed to. But if I can't come into your space and feel safe, I can't come into your space. And she said, it just upsets me that you didn't give me a heads up that your salon was choosing not to follow the protocols. And the reason that I want to share that, and I want to share it at scale, is because I know some people feel like the regulations are annoying, or they don't want to have to jump through these hoops, or my clients are pretty chill, or all of these things. Please know that your state is regulating guidelines. And if you don't follow the guidelines, you're playing a really risky game. So I thought it was very interesting to mail out a letter explaining what to expect when you come into the salon, because that is a fear that some clients are having. It's really, really important. Kay says sanitation outside on the porch. Some people are installing dividers in the salon. It's something to think about. A lot of welcome back gifts. I think that's most of what we're seeing. So there are things to think about as we shift into these new amenities. And so just make sure that you're covering your bases in one way or another. Okay, let's shift on to build the trust. How many of you have spent a good amount of time focusing on the 4 learning styles that we need to be covering when we have a consultation with our clients? Does anybody feel like this is an area that they could maybe use a little bit more support in? This is something that we could follow. Okay, Mashana says she follows this. Beautiful. So I want to just very briefly cover the 4 different learning styles in case this is something that you want to brush up on as we focused on guest experience. So as human beings, we all learn differently, right? Some of you in this room are visual, which is why I created this PDF. Some of you are oral. Some of you will never look at this PDF and you just like to hear me talk, right? You like podcast, you like Audible, the book app, right? You're an oral listener. Okay, great. Then we have our verbal listeners. They need to talk. Verbal people don't feel like the conversation went well unless they got a chance to speak. So they want to talk through the consultation more than listen, versus our oral people who want to listen more than talk, right? And then we have the physical people. They need to touch it. They need to hold it. They need physical examples of what is going to happen. So I want to go through verbally really quickly right now using our oral consultation skills. I'm going to expect you to listen to what I'm going to say. And I want you to kind of cross-check if you're doing all 4 of these in every consultation you have. Because what I don't want you to do is sit down with a client and be like, how do you best learn? Are you a visual learner? No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have a consultation that hits all 4. So for visual consultations, we need to be showing examples of what we're talking about. How many of you have your Pinterest boards in place? Your custom Pinterest boards? Yes, I see those hands going up. Yep, I knew my girl Jenna would. I was waiting for you, Jenna. This is a little test for you, and you passed. Where you can say you want to be a blonde, you want to be a red, you want to be a brunette, you want to see different extension styles. Pinterest is a really good tool to use for that. Very, very important. So that's a good visual tool you can use for consultations. When Abby said that in her phone consultations, she's asking them to email pictures of inspiration as well as pictures of their own hair. That's a great visual tool, right? They have to seek out pictures of what they like. That way Abby can consult on what the client says they like to see, right? However crazy it may be, Abby has a picture of what the client thinks they want to have, right? It's a starting off point. Visual learners need to be shown plenty of examples. So even if somebody shows you one picture of what they want, they need to see 16 more. One is not enough. They need to see lots and lots. They need to see you show them basically the same color on 6 different heads of hair so that they know you get it. Even though you got it when you saw the first picture, they need to know that you get it by showing them multiple pictures of the same thing. That's how a visual learner feels confident. So I'm not talking about you feeling confident going through these styles. You're trying to make the guest feel confident, and they need to see multiple pictures of the same thing. We'll do best if they can show you examples because this is their strongest form of communication, okay? So the more they can show you, the better they're going to feel. Okay, then we have our oral learners. They'll match your tone, okay? So if you ever talk with somebody and you get kind of speedy and high pitch and they do the same thing, they're going to be an oral learner. Okay. If they don't, if you're talking to somebody and you're like me and you go a million miles an hour and you're talking to somebody who talks a lot slower and doesn't try and match your tone, they're probably not oral, but it doesn't matter. You still try and give them all of those oral techniques that you can. Wants to be all in on your conversation, so don't be distracted while you're speaking. You know that guy who works next to you, James, and when you're consulting, he's being like loud and he's telling you a joke and his client is tapping you on the shoulder. If that happens with an oral client, they'll never come back. So you need to be all in when you consult. Do not be distracted. Wants you to recap the plan several times. So even though you've stated the plan clearly once, you should state it again and again. So like when Kaylee was saying, she explained in that digital consultation what she wanted, and then the stylist came back and presented her with a plan and a price. And I'm sure when Kaylee goes into the salon, she's going to be presented with that plan and price again for the oral learners in the room. Okay, perfect example. That's exactly the way you want to do it. They'll feel comforted to hear that you know what they want. So even saying things like, I feel like I know exactly where we're headed with this. That's the verbiage an oral learner needs to hear. Or I feel like we're on the right track. I feel like we're getting closer. They need to hear phrases like that. So along the way, you need to keep telling them. Anybody have words of affirmation? Oral learners need to hear words of affirmation throughout the consultation to feel like it's going well, okay? So make sure to be using those things. Then we have verbal consultation. So for our verbal learners, you need to keep them talking. So we're gonna say things like, tell me more, or why do you feel that way? So when they say, I really like this blonde, what do you like about it? I just like how bright it is. Okay, what does bright mean to you? It means light. What do you mean by light? You almost have to ask so many questions that it gets annoying, right? But for your verbal people, they have to keep talking. And that's where you'll have the breakthroughs, right? Ask not only what they like, but what they don't like. And usually the verbal skills are like what we learned in beauty school, right? These are the basics, like what don't you like about your hair? So make sure that you're still going back to those basics and using those tools. And then for our physical learners, we have to use good eye contact, allow them to touch swatches. How many of you don't have a swatch book because it's too expensive? We have to make sure we have one. Clients geek out over swatch rings and swatch books. They love them. They think they're great. So Janet says, I have 2. Good call, Janet. I love it. So they like it when you bring out the swatch book and they get to, have you seen them do it? They take their hand and like brush all the hair because they think it's like the coolest thing ever. That's a part of the consultation process. They need to be able to touch those swatches. It's major for them. Allow them to touch their own hair, especially when you're doing haircuts. So do something like say, okay, I want you to actually clamp your hair. Do you see where my fingers are? I want you to replace my fingers with yours, clamp your hair right here. Okay, is this the length that we're talking about? When you're doing big transformative haircuts, having them touch their hair at the length they're asking for is a game changer. Okay, so make sure that that physical piece is there and then allow them to flip through a physical lookbook. So even just allowing them to look through your Pinterest on their phone might be how you can do that, right? So they just need to be a part of the interaction. It can't just be you talking at them. Physical learners have to be doing something as well. So if it's touching their own hair, if it's them pulling up your Pinterest boards on their phone so that they're the one doing the swiping, all of those would be considered physical consultation components. We have to allow them to physically be a part of the experience, not just be talking or be talked at, okay? So I want you to really think about the way that you're consulting and building the trust with your clients and how we can improve that part of the guest experience. A lot of times when I coach a stylist and they say, I give the best consultations ever, because I know everybody in this room gives the best consultations ever, right? I hear it from every stylist I coach. Well, my consultations are amazing. Okay, got it. I hear that with everybody I coach to. Got it. Your consultations are amazing. Often your consultations are actually very basic. You're asking all the right questions. You're so smart that you get to where they're going. And I understand that. But if you're not building the trust in the consultation, you're missing it. Just knowing what the client is asking for does not mean killer consultation. Killer consultation happens when before you even go into the back lab to mix the color, the client is saying, this is the best stylist I've ever seen. You haven't even done anything to their hair yet, but they are so at peace with the plan you've made, like Kaylee was, where Kaylee was like, I want to give you all of my money now. That built the trust. So if that's not happening, we're missing something. Our consultation has to get better. It can't just be so good that you know what's up. The client has to know what's up. That's when the consultation succeeds, okay? Then we look at planning for the future. So this is where we can do some really exciting things right now. So how do you keep in touch with clients between visits? Are you doing email marketing? And listen, I know email marketing is a sensitive subject. Not everybody's a fan. I understand. If you're not doing email marketing, are you doing videos regularly on your Instagram with hair tutorials? Are you doing videos on Facebook? How are you adding value to your client's life if not through email marketing? What are you doing? Because if something isn't happening in the 8 to 12 weeks between guest visits, that is risky. It's so risky. A client's relationship with their hairstylist is almost like a marriage. And can you imagine if there was lulls in the marriage of 6 to 8 weeks over and over and over? That's a lot of room to get a wandering eye. We can't have that. Something has to be happening between guest visits. The other thing that's cool is if you're doing powerful things between guest visits, you're going to see more referrals, right? Because you're going to be more front of mind. So I know we do things like post to social media, because it sets up our marketing funnel and a new client would love it. But how many times have you heard me say Instagram posts, Facebook posts are not for your existing clientele? Have you heard me say that lots and lots of times? It's because they're not. Your existing clients are not obsessing over your Instagram. Some of them are, most of them aren't. Most of them are just living their lives and obsessing over other things. So what can you do that is obsession worthy? What can you offer that makes them say, dang, Janet is the best stylist in town? It has to be more than pretty pictures. We have to go beyond that. There has to be some kind of value that is coming to that guest between visits that they are not finding elsewhere. And there are some salons that do. My cousin's salon did art shows and music festival things in the salon a couple times a year. And that's a huge part of why her clients stuck with her. So it wasn't even a digital thing, but they hosted these really cool in-salon experiences that made the clients feel like they were a part of a culture. So it doesn't just have to be email marketing. It just has to be something. Okay, Tammy says, can you give us some examples of this? Does anybody do anything between client visits that feels like a killer? Like, this is so amazing. Nobody else is doing this. And don't be scared. Don't be scared just because I put the pressure on. Is anybody doing things between guest visits that you think your clients are going to be blown away by? Mashana says, email marketing every other week in the pandemic. And I think that was really smart because especially in the pandemic, we had more of a captive audience, right? People were at home waiting for something exciting to happen and you delivered it. So this might be something that's a great call altogether, where we can talk about what we can do between visits to keep our clients engaged. Ophelia says, I email them and ask them how their hair is holding up. Perfect. A personal connection. That's great. Mashana says, YouTube channel posting 2 videos every other month. Great. So what can you do between visits that makes a guest say, wow, no other salon does this? Oh my gosh. Okay. Robin says, we want to do Zoom cocktail parties. Robin, who was it that did that in Elite? Caitlin, right? Did like Zoom cocktail parties, and it was super fun. And it was like, yeah, she said kind of like a Q&A. Yeah, something light and a way to connect. And I love that it's digital like that, right? Because we can't do get-togethers in the salon, but a different way to connect, I think is so, so brilliant. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my friends are trying to do like virtual cocktail hours. And I love the idea of a salon doing like a virtual hair party or something like that, where you choose a date and time, and you're doing either just Q&A or you're showing a tutorial or something like that. And they can come and they can invite a friend, open invite, but you're doing something that keeps them busy between visits. I think that's brilliant. Anissa says, I still need to set up a clients only Facebook group. Yeah, something between appointments to keep them engaged is very, very important. And if you guys like this, we can actually have a call that's centered just around this and get some really good brainstorming going. I think it would be a great one. Okay, what do you do between visits to keep them engaged in your brand? I know some of you have done some really fun things. Like I saw Lisa Huff did some really great branded face masks, or some of you do like salon-ish, right? Like Caitlin Corrado's salon is so good at doing like branded swag, and her clients have really bought into the culture. So things like that can be really powerful as well. And then how do you show your guests you aren't on autopilot at each visit, right? How do you keep the clients spicy? Or how do you keep the visit spicy? Like, what do you do? Do you offer new ideas? Do you talk about new products that have come in? What do you do to show that you are not complacent? I'm going to say it one more time. I share this story all the time because I think it's so poignant, where we had the client who had been coming to see one of our senior stylists for like 13 years or something. This was a super long-term client, somebody we considered to be a friend of the salon. And she wrote a long breakup letter to her stylist saying that she basically felt like the magic was gone. She was like, I love you. I'm always going to think about you and your family. It's not personal. I just needed some fresh energy. She got bored. The salon was boring for her. It had nothing to do with the way her hair looked. It just felt stale, and she needed it to become exciting again. So it doesn't have to be like fire dancers and like, it doesn't have to be so crazy, but what can you do to make it feel spicy? Clients want to know that you're passionate. Clients want to know that you're at the top of your game. And so what can you do that other salons in your area aren't doing yet? What can you do that other stylists aren't offering? What can you do so that if a client does start to get a little bit stir crazy and goes to see the next best thing down the street, they realize that next best thing can't touch you because you really are that much better? Like, what can you do that is cutting edge? And I know it sounds like a huge ask. It's actually generally not. It's the little things and the little shifts and pivots that make all the difference, right? Joe says, do you still recommend physical welcome packets during this? I have a cool branded cotton drawstring backpack that I usually put the welcome packet in that I still want to give out. Joe, it depends. So in some states, you cannot distribute paper products. Like restaurants can't give out menus. It really, really depends on your state and the guidelines. For me, I do feel like a welcome physical item is still just as powerful as ever. I still want it when I go somewhere. I think it's important. However, if your state doesn't allow it, it doesn't allow it. So you have to go with the guidelines, but I do still think it's very important. Joe says, I'm in Portland and we're not even open yet. So that's what next week's podcast is going to speak to, Joe. Because I'm in California, as you know, and my county hasn't been opened yet either. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit next week on the podcast. But I know some of you are still at home, like trying to decide what it's going to be like going back. Marie says, I send guest pictures, pre-visit picture ideas for new options to their looks or new look ideas. I love that. I love that. So if you come across a picture of hair that you think would look really good on your client Serafina, email Serafina just randomly, or send her a DM or tag her into a post on Instagram and be like, girl, wouldn't this haircut look amazing on you? It's things like that that make a client feel like they're not just Serafina every 6 weeks. It's the little things you do that make them feel appreciated. How many stylists do you think do that? Joe does that. How many stylists do you think are tagging their clients into photos on Instagram? Less than 1%. I guarantee it. None. Most of you on this call probably haven't, right? And I get it. I understand. But it's little things like that that you can do between visits that show your clients that you care. that show that they're not just a part of the business machine, that they're actually a person that you value in your model. Okay. So my ask of you, Abby says people want change so badly. Totally. And I know the running joke is, I don't want to change my color and I don't want to lose any length, but I'm bored with my hair. It's like, okay, perfect. Great. So I have no options for you, but you're completely bored. And I know that that's like the running joke, but that's the reality. And just even having the conversation about what is possible is enough for some people, and giving them new, fresh ideas is always really powerful. So my ask of you through this workshop is to really consider all 4 of the elements of the guest experience, because most of us have something we can improve on in pre-salon phase, warm welcome phase, building the trust, or planning for the future. So I want you to really dig deep and think about where you can work most through these 4 phases. I want to thank Abby and Kaylee for coming on today and sharing their experiences with us. I think Jot Form was a huge breakthrough moment for all of us. So I want you to think about what is possible. Marie says, can we talk about a post-visit survey too? Yes. So if you're going to do a post-visit survey, actually, if you're going to do any survey at all, final closing thought, you guys, if you're going to do a survey at all, it should be very open-ended, very open-ended. Abby, I agree with you. We need to talk about all the forms. That's like the next one, right? Very open-ended. How do you, and don't lead in, like, which of these amenities did you like? No. What if they hated all of your amenities? Do you have an option for that? I hated all of them. And then a fill in the blank? No. So if you're going to send out a post-visit survey, it should be very, very open. What were the things you loved most about your visit? Boom. How did you feel about the consultation? Boom. Open. It has to be open answer. If you give like multiple choice, it's called leading the survey. And we do not want to do that. The only way you do multiple choice is what services did you get at your visit? So cut and color, extensions, whatever, you can lead the survey with that. But basically everything else should be open-ended if you're sending out a survey and you want to get real data and feedback, because as soon as you seed it with those check multiple boxes and multiple choice, you're going to get skewed data. So the more open you can leave it, the better. Okay, forms workshop, making note of it. I'm excited about that. I feel like we can have some really, really fun with that. Okay, you guys, so much love. Happy business building. Happy Monday. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.